listen, I have a million questions for you. And I want to say thank you so much for making me laugh with the TED show. But you know I'm a huge fan of the Orville. And I need to ask you, is it over? Could there be more? Could there be like a TV movie? Like what can fans hope for?
It is not officially over yet. No.
Okay. Thank you. That's better than you telling me it's all done. You know? So one of the things that I really love about your work, and especially it's true in TED, is that everyone seems to be so timid to rock the boat with a joke. And one of the things about Ted is he says and does things on the series that I would say are, pushing the boundaries or inappropriate. So can you sort of talk about doing that with the show, and maybe why is everyone so nervous about making jokes that might offend people?
I think there's two reasons. One that's very specific to TED and to shows like Family Guy. You're right. There's an absence of flat out hard comedy these days. A comedy that's just out to get laughs. That's out to explore the boundaries of the genre and see if there's an edge that takes it too far. And it's kind of fun to find where that edge is and make sure you don't go past it, but to go right up to the rim. And I think in many cases where I have a little bit more of a safety net is that if you're a stand-up comic or if you are somebody who is the face of their show every week, then you are, if you screw up and if you have a joke that goes too far for people, you're going to be the one who gets attacked. With Family Guy and with Ted, first of all, these are animated characters. Ted does not exist. Peter Griffin doesn't exist. You can't tweet at him. And in terms of the show, like, people are smart enough to know, look, it's a lot of people that have to get together and decide what goes on the air. Television is very much a group effort, and people are savvy at this point. They know that. And so for me, it kind of protects me in a way that maybe gives me a little bit of an unfair advantage because these are animated characters, but I don't know. That's just one theory. I think people are a lot more able to distinguish comedy from commentary than we give them credit for. I think a lot of the angriest among us are amplified for the sake of clickbait, and I don't think the actual audiences are quite as representative as of that kind of noise as we might be led to believe. So you do screenings, you have table reads, you do test these jokes out to some degree, and then there are things that get a gasp at the table read that don't go in the show. Sure. And there are things that get a laugh, but you're right on the edge, but people are still laughing. So you give them their shot. But it is a little different than if I were up there with a microphone doing stand-up and I made a joke and I'm the face of it and I'm the writer and I'm all alone. So here it's a group effort. So there is safety in numbers.
Sure. I was sitting in a hospitality room yesterday watching episodes, and I was laughing out loud where people were looking at me. And it was nice to have jokes in a show that, pushed a little bit and we're not just safe,
Yeah. I think we need that right now.
100%, sir. Is there a joke, or is there an episode or a scene in one of the episodes that you're like, is this too far? Is there something that even you said, maybe this is a little too much?
I mean, it's tough. I don't get mad when I see things that cross the line in fiction. When I read the news, and I see anything with the phrase Texas Supreme Court, then I get pissed. Right. Then I get angry. But when I watch something that is fiction written by writers, for the most part, it doesn't. I make that distinction, so it doesn't rile me up. So I don't know. There's nothing that I can think of for me that in this show that goes over the line comedically.
It was something. Yeah, I was going to say, when I was watching the episode yesterday with something about Vietnam, there was a joke with that I was like, oh, this is going. Anyway, so if you get to make a second season, is it possible to do a like modern story with Wahlberg in an episode that then flashes back to the Ted series? Does that make any sense? Did you even think about doing something like that?
Yeah, look, anything is possible. The challenge with Wahlberg is he's very busy. He's always working on a movie or two or three, and to get him for a television series, even for something like Ted, is the time commitment is oftentimes more than his schedule will permit. So if he were to be involved, it would have to be in a capacity similar to what you've just described. It hasn't been discussed yet, but anything is possible.
One of the things I read that you guys originally thought of doing this as a multicam, or it was discussed possibly as a multicam, and I was thinking, could that have been like an ALF situation where, anyway, could you sort of talk about the iterations and how you sort of got to what people are saying? Yeah,
I still am intrigued by that idea. The only reason I didn't do it was that they wanted this show as fast as they could get it. And I didn't want to go into a situation where I was doing a multicam show with an audience and a CGI character where I didn't have time for R&D, for research and development, to see if this was even possible. The reason that it intrigued me is that one of my favorite Ted pieces of Ted footage is his appearance on Kimmel in 2012 or 13 or whenever it was, and it was, look, film video nerds will know what I'm talking about. It was that video, whatever is 30/60 frames a second look as opposed to film, which gave him an immediacy that he maybe didn't have at 24 frames a second. Same thing when he and Mark were at the Oscars. He just feels maybe just a little bit more real. And I wanted to do something like that. The issue is you got to shoot those things fast. You got an audience there waiting.
Yep.
And it still intrigues me. It's something that I still would like to try at some point, because I think if it's, the idea of a CGI character there waiting for an audience to finish their laughter before he says the next joke, the way a live actor has to do is again, it's yet another level of reality. It's still kind of in the back of my mind, but we would need the proper amount of time to really see if it can be done, because it could also be a disaster.
Oh, 100%. Oh, yeah. It could be terrible, but it could be amazing.
Yeah.
So last time I spoke to Liam Neeson, he mentioned Naked Gun to me, and I'm going to have to bring up Naked Gun with you because he seemed excited. And so, what's the status of that?
It's being worked on as we speak. Akiva Schaffer, who's written the draft with his team, has done a hell of a job, and it is in development. So it is still very much alive.
Awesome to hear. We are now almost in 2024. As a fan of your work, I am curious what you're thinking about doing next year.
I don't know yet. I think by January, I'm going to have a clearer idea. This show was such an undertaking. It was so much work to essentially do what we did in the films with the same quality for television, that I'm going to exhale a little bit over the month of December. And then when we get into January, I'll be kind of revved up and ready to go again. So I'm not sure. There are a few things that are on the table, a television project and a couple of film projects, and I haven't decided what's next.
On that note, sir, I really want to say again, thank you so much for making me laugh. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You too.